Howdy, and welcome back. So I finally remembered my YouTube password, and by remembered my YouTube password, I mean, since the last video, I broke my ankle, and then as soon as I could walk again, I got scarlet fever, and then it was Thanksgiving week. So, yeah, I remembered my password. so we're back. Just gonna jump back into things by doing a video that I've wanted to do since the start of this channel, where I talk about what a Democratic victory would look like in Texas. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that I could do a video like this for any other state, because I know Texas politics better than any other state, and it's like I would have a very hard time with some of these others. So yeah, got to do one for my home state, but that's probably as far as I can go with it. So for a Democrat to win in Texas, which, by the way, statewide has not happened since 1994, it would take, realistically, a miracle, but with this Senate race coming up next year, just sort of it being on the horizon, there has been talk that a candidate like Ken Paxton for the Republicans could be bad enough to where a good candidate for the Democrats like James Tallarico could, in theory, pull it off. Am I convinced it'll happen? Not entirely. We're going to have to see how that looks. But I think that if it was going to happen next year, it would be Tallarico over Paxton. So let's go ahead and look at what some of the margins would look like. First, of course, we're going to start with the Democrats winning by 1 percentage point. So just barely getting into the lean category for the Dems. Of course, we are going to have to color in all 254 of these counties. The overwhelming majority are going to be red. Realistically, I should just do this to be faster about it, and then we'll look at we'll look at them all individually, just sort of as we go. But yeah, this covers all of the counties in the state. So obviously, if this happens, the Republicans are winning by like 90%, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about a Democratic victory. So there are a good few counties that we need to give as safe to the Democrats. That's going to be Travis County, home to Austin, the bluest county in the state, especially after last year's elections. El Paso would have to be very, very safe. The two of these would have to really revert back to at least where they were in 2020, because Biden won El Paso by 35, Austin by 45, and then 2024, Harris wins it by 15 and 39. So yeah, 2020 is going to be kind of my baseline for this, just because Biden did only lose by about 5.5 here, and that is the closest that a Dem has come to winning statewide, outside of Beto O'Rourke in the 2018 Senate race, but they don't exactly have a county map for this, so we've got that to think about. So this is kind of our baseline. Maybe the 2016 map could help with some of these counties down in the valley, but yeah, so let's continue on. So speaking of the valley, we're basically, this would require a full Democratic resurgence in the Rio Grande Valley, which would mean like all of these counties. I'm going to say, yeah, Jim Wells is that one, and that's also blue. Let me make that blue. McMullen and Atascosa. Do I have everything? There we go. That'll do it. And then you've all be likely red in this case. Just gotta do it. So for some of these, maybe a little less blue. Kleberg probably wouldn't be safe blue, just sort of in any case. That's home to Kingsville, but we'll say it's like lean blue, just because. Presidio County, Culberson, Reeves, basically just like a full rebound to where the Hispanic margins were in 2016, and maybe then some, just because, yeah. So that would include Valverde, Would it be safe? I don't know. We're gonna say it's not. The same with LaSalle and Frio. Nope, they're not supposed to be red. But yeah, Kennedy County really doesn't matter. We can leave it likely blue because I mean the population there is like nothing, so we could do that. But other safe counties that we would need for the Democrats, of course, would be the city of Dallas and the city of San Antonio, as well as the city of Houston. Now, Houston has not gone safe blue in however many years. We might be back in the Johnson days. Yeah, that was the last time Harris County, home to Houston, went blue. Of course, hasn't. It's a big county, realistically, and it's very suburban outside of the main city. Most of Houston suburbs are still in Harris County, though there are a number located in Montgomery County, which, I mean, we're not even going to look at because it's still way too red. But yeah, something like this, and it's the same with Fort Bend. This is home to Sugarland and some other Houston suburbs, so yeah, Fort Bend would also be blue in this case. Beaumont would also have to go blue. I'm not going to say it's going to go blue by a mile, but for this situation, it would have to. Hayes, home to San Marcos, and I can't remember what else. Dead Kyle, I think. But that would have to go safe blue for the Dems to be winning here by even one. And then Williamson would have to go blue as well. Not by much, but maybe by something similar to the 2020 margin. I mean, it's more suburbs of Austin, like Round Rock and all that. That would have to go blue. And with that being said, I think that's all of our safe Democratic counties. For a scenario like this, there are going to be some that obviously would not be safe, but, might be leans, like Tarrant County, home to Fort Worth, and that might be it. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. I can't really think of any more blue counties in Texas, any more counties that would go blue in a scenario like this, because obviously the overwhelming majority of them are going to be red, but for this is kind of all of the blue that we're going to see. But of course, this is not enough to actually get the Democrats over the line, because you might see a lot of blue down here in the South, and the realistic part with that is, even if there's a full rebound of Hispanic and Latino voters down south, it would, the population here is not enough to really be too substantive. Laredo in Webb County here is kind of the biggest vote sink. Same with McAllen and Brownsville, but I mean, those are already not crazy red in 24, and there's still a lot of blue votes down in Laredo, McAllen, and Brownsville, of course. So yeah, it just wouldn't affect enough, really. So it's yeah. So basically what that means is some very important counties out here would have to be less red. And of course, we've already colored in Uvalde as under 15, but there are some others that would need to be much less red. You know what? Why not give Brewster County to the Dems too? Just cause. But there's nobody living there, by the way. So that is going to include counties like Collin County, not a tilt margin, but maybe a lean margin, which is where it was in 2020. It only went to Trump by 4.5. Denton County was similar in that it only went to Trump by 8 in 2020. But for argument's sake here, we're going to say that Denton goes by 5, Collin goes by maybe 1 to Ken Paxton in this scenario. So these two being significantly less red really sets the stage. Brazos County, home to College Station and Bryan, that would also have to be under 15 points like it was in 2020. There were a good amount of votes here. It's similar to the amount of votes we saw in Webb County, where Laredo is at, and that would be less red, that would be very helpful. Something like Waller, not crazy high in population, but for the realisticality, if that's not a word, but pretend it is for the map, that would have to be a little under 15. Same with Brazoria. Did Galveston go? Yeah, no, Galveston was much redder. But yeah, something like Brazoria would have to be under 15 here. Montgomery, I don't think is going to get under 15 just in any case. But yeah, Waller actually swung left in 2024 comparative to 2020, so there's that. Caldwell and Bastrop, as well as Bell County. Bell home to Killeen, Caldwell home to Lockhart, and Bastrop home to Elgin. These would all have to go by less than 15 to the GOP. Kamal, similar story to Montgomery. It's just not going to wash up at all. Kaufman swung left pretty significantly. I think we can say that this would go under 15 in a scenario like this. So, I think, Amarillo's not getting there. Neither is Lubbock. But yeah, this, I think, is our map. I think that this would see a result of a Democrat, maybe James Talarico, winning by 1% in the state of Texas. Definitely not likely necessarily, but this is what I assume a Democratic victory would look like in the state. Of course, that is a random county in Kansas and now Oklahoma. Incredible. And there goes Jasper County. All right, so this is the map. It would require Houston, San Antonio. Both of these would need to be safe. San Antonio did get there in 2020, but Houston did not. Dallas would also have to be very, very safe, as it has been. So Austin, El Paso, and the entire Rio Grande Valley would have to see reversion to like 2018 and prior numbers. So I don't think that's impossible, especially given the situation with ICE and all that, and just sort of anti-immigrant sentiment from the administration. I think that could really help shore some of this up. And then, of course, southeast of Boston, with some of these counties, they would have to be under 15. Same with Brazos County, give that maybe 10% to Paxton here. And then some of these other suburban ones would have to shrink down under 15, like Waller, Brazoria, and Kaufman. And overall, just enough would have to be less red for a Democrat to win here. And if we wanted to kick this one up further and say, let's have a Democrat win by a likely margin, you might call Beaumont likely, you might call Fort Worth likely, you might flip Collin, maybe leave Denton, but maybe have some of these suburbs and suburban counties become less red. I hope I'm getting this one right. Amarillo is just a possible place. Maybe Amarillo and Lubbock would be under 15 in a scenario like this. Is that Lubbock? Third from the right? Yeah, that's Lubbock. Okay. But yeah, it's like a lot of these, if we wanted... Oh, and I completely forgot about Corpus. Okay. Corpus Christi, which is located down here in Nueces County. Something I completely forgot about, but that would obviously have to not be 15 points for the GOP. That would have to be less than 5. And in a scenario where the Democrats are winning by a likely margin in the state, Corpus would have to be there. Cleveland County would have to be there. What else is there even to mess with? Kamal, maybe. It's like all of these suburban counties would have to shrink down a ton, because once you start maxing out, the valley, you start maxing out the cities, it becomes much, much harder. And I think at that point, at this point, you would have to just have some important counties be less red. And that is how you do it. Like, throw Ellis under 15, just because it's like Ellis, only went to Trump by 31 in the last election. That is a shift to the left of 3 points compared to 2020. So it's like a lot of these suburban DFW counties did shift left a little bit, but overall, I mean, this is what a 5-point victory might look like. If we're talking about a 15-point victory, if a Democrat is winning safely, which will not happen probably in my lifetime, you'd have to have Fort Worth be safe. You would have to have Round Rock be safe. You'd have to have Killeen. You'd have to have Waco. You'd have to have Bryan College Station. You'd have to have Beaumont probably safe. You'd have to have Uvalde. You'd have to have, I don't know, San Marcos. It's like, if we're getting all the way to 15, this would have to be the map. Just a lot of blue in the cities where the population is concentrated, and just it's like something like this would have to happen. You'd have to have Rockwall under 15 at that point. It would be, this is like impossible, but if a Democrat were to win by 15, this is how I could see it happening. Of course, will that happen? No. I'm skeptical that a Democrat will win at all. But if a Democrat were to win in Texas, this is how I see it happening. Throw Lefkin under 15. Why not? throw Tyler under 15. I think that's the right one. But overall, I think throw San Angelo under 15. Why not? But I think with that being said, Midland and Odessa, I think with that being said, that is going to wrap this one up. This was kind of a fun look into what a Dem victory would look like in Texas. Do I think it's going to happen in any capacity? No, certainly not like this. I know people are going to, look in the comments and, how I'll use this as a thumbnail. Why not? But overall, I think not much else needs to really be said about it. So that's going to wrap up. And I want to thank y'all for watching.